The draft and trade periods were changed forever with the introduction of both future pick trading and live pick trading. So, of course, that being on draft night. However, I don't think we are fully prepared for just how messy the 2024 first round draft is going to look versus how it looks now. Let's talk about it. So luckily for us, pick one's really easy to decide because Richmond, I don't think you're going to be trading this under any circumstances. You are not going to get the kind of haul that you would for a Harley Reid like West Coast were getting offered last year. And the pure and simple reason for that is when you are going to trade for pick one, you probably need a pick in the next 6 or 7 plus a bunch of extras in order to move up. But considering how midfielder deep this draft is, a club like West Coast, Adelaide or St Kilda around that mark could just get the guy potentially they have number 1 on their draft board, if not number 2 or 3 at their pick. And the gap between number 1 and number 3 on your draft boards at the time of recording is not that different. Therefore, Richmond can just go, this is my guy, and that's fine. Some of the temptation could be if there were going to be no further assets coming in, but as we're going to talk about a lot during this video, and as I covered extensively in a recent video, Richmond are going to be getting a shitload more assets coming in this draft. Therefore, pick one is effectively off the table. They've had Finn O'Sullivan, Harvey Langford, and now Jagger Smith it was, I should say, play with their VFL team, so they're going to get a better insight into which one they want. And personally, I think they're either going to go with Jagger or Harvey Langford, both for different reasons that will hopefully amount to something amazing coming across Richmond's desk, much like Brett Deledio was, who of course was their last number 1 pick. I don't think Deledio was a bust of a pick. He did show up on a number 1 pick draft busts list I saw recently, which I thought was astounding. Just because you don't win a flag does not mean you're a bust. Brett Deledio was a very good footballer. I think North want to trade pick 2, and they're going to want to do this for 2 assets. Now, the only 2 clubs that could really facilitate this kind of deal are Gold Coast and Fremantle. Now, Fremantle are going to become more and more unlikely if they want Shea Bolton. Now, as you guys know with the video on how Richmond are going to shape the first round of the draft, which if you haven't seen, go and watch that after this video, of course, but they need to go all in. The whole mortgage your future, your premiership window is only open for a set period of time, and he would be an amazing pickup. Having guys wait 2.5 years because guys like Neil Erasmus are still waiting for senior time, having 18-year-olds is not the answer. Therefore, if Richmond do want, say, pick 2, then you could have that 3-way trade. Shea Bolton ends up at Freo, North get pick 9 and 10 as it currently stands right now, and Richmond get pick 2. That could extensively work, but at this point, I don't think North are going to be able to get the deal done that they want because the other club, Gold Coast, are going to need their first-round picks for a couple of reasons. The first one being a likely Dan Rioli trade that is going to either be pick 5 on its own or their 2 later first-round picks that they will send to the Tigers, so it's going to be really unlikely that can take place. The second reason, of course, being they will still need points to match a Leo Lombard bid is the word that I'm looking for. Holy shit. And even though Gold Coast are going to have so many more points than they know how to deal with, they are going to want to flip those assets and turn them into points the year after the 2025 draft where they have 4 academy kids. So yes, North want to move down. I don't see how they can do it at this point in time. It's a want, not a need, and I don't know if it gets done. West Coast here, similar to Richmond, no point trading this pick. You are extensively going to get your pick or second pick of the bunch. I think it's going to be really unlikely that the first and second pick of this draft are going to match the names on your draft board, especially considering I think Luke Traynor is going to be at North Melbourne at this point in time, at the time of recording, time coded, whenever the hell this goes out, probably 7 o'clock on Wednesday, right? So What does that mean for the Eagles? Well, number one, you get your guy. And again, like Richmond, they are going to get other assets in. Namely, what they get from Hawthorn for Tom Barras. Now, pick 11 and pick 29, I think Hawthorn have got at this point, or 11 and 27, are going to be on the board, which Hawthorn fans hate hearing that, but welcome to how the trade system works. But we got this for this player a decade ago. Yeah, it's not a decade ago anymore. So, as long as we know how contracted players work and the fact you've got to overpay to get guys out of their football clubs, right, that's how it'll work. So because West Coast are going to get other assets in, and one of those is probably going to have to be used in the Liam Baker deal anyway, 0 point in West Coast trading this out. It would be a little bit like North. You would need the 2 assets further down. It's not going to work. Go get your guy. If your guy is Josh Smiley, if your guy is Sid Draper, if your guy is whoever Richmond don't pick out of Langford and Smith, if I haven't said Finn O'Sullivan yet, it could be him. If it's someone else that you've got on your draft board that you're not 100% sure about at this point in time, who knows? Obviously, it won't be Levi Ashcroft because he's going to Brisbane, but still, West Coast are going to have an abundance of options. And that actually leads me into the same here with Adelaide's pick and St Kilda's pick. 0 point in trading any of those, because both these teams are probably going to need another midfielder, St Kilda especially. Because let me ask you this question. Actually, first I'll go to Adelaide. I know I'm jumbling a bit here, but let's go to Adelaide first. Again, they'll probably want Sid Draper, not just for the home factor, the fact that he's a South Australian boy, but his ability to evade that sidestep and your ability to get separation in the midfield now is so important. So important. And he and Jake Saligo, I think, could combine in a really, really cool way with Jordan Dawson there, with, look, 1 or 2 other midfielders that could roll through there. Zach Taylor, I reckon, could belong on a wing, outside midfield kind of player. Billy Dowling is a guy that I just love to watch. I don't want to say in love, but let's just go with man crush. All right? As long as we don't treat that as weird, golden. So Adelaide, don't trade the pick. Just get your guy and move through the rest of the draft as you so wish. For St Kilda, though, they don't need to trade down here, but the Saints are in a little bit of an interesting spot. So if I said to you that Melbourne have 18 players that are 28 or older, and Collingwood have 13, and Geelong have 13, how many players over the age of 28 do you think St Kilda have? You're wrong. It's 15. Sorry, 14. Zane Cordy turns 15 in October. And shout out to the Hardball Gets for giving that stat out on their pod. I love the Hardball Gets podcast. I really do. But that's remarkable. So, considering that you've still got some turnover with guys like Mateus Filippo, Darcy Wilson, that they are adding to that squad, clearly there are some senior guys on that list that aren't going to be there next year. Go get another midfielder that you can help support. Filippo, Windhager, these kind of guys. Go get your guy. The best fit would be Harvey Langford. I would be stunned if he's still there at that point, but you're still going to get someone awesome. And if you want the contested beast, Josh Smiley makes a hell of a lot of sense. 2 190cm plus midfielders in that St Kilda lineup could get Finn O'Sullivan at that point if they wanted him. It is a tantalising prospect. So, West Coast, Adelaide, St Kilda, no trade. The Gold Coast one at pick 5, I've already kind of talked about. It's either going to get absorbed in a Leo Lombard bid, or it's probably going to be traded out for Dan Rioli. It would be really surprising to me if neither of those things happened and Gold Coast just had this. It wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to trade this into the first round of next year for their academy guys. Would be a really tantalising piece. You could probably get someone's future first and future second for this on the night. I don't think this pick will move in the actual off-season itself, but if someone wants to trade up, go for it. I suspect a club maybe like a Melbourne would want to do this with their future first. I suspect a club like St Kilda may want to do this, and if you think about the Saints, if they do lose Josh Battle with their Band 1 compensation, they could get pick 5, pick 6, and pick 7 in this year's draft. It's a pretty good way to start. So I would be probably 80% sure this pick won't be at the Suns. But who it does end up with is up in the air. I like it. I like the mystery around this pick. I don't think Melbourne trade their pick either. They're just going to have too many list holes, considering that Stephen May is getting older, although I don't think this pick is going to be on a key defender, but they are going to need to start the rejuvenation. I worry a shitload about Melbourne once Tasmania hit here, because I think that's when they're going to fall off the perch, and if they want to start doing the necessary things now, I think Oliver is going to stay. I think Petrarca is going to stay. They still need to target a midfield area right here, right now. I really do. Whether Oliver's there or not, I don't think Christian Petrarca is going anywhere personally. I think it's too early in the draft to go get a tall forward, although if you do want to go at Harry Armstrong here, go for your life. They took Colton Tolstrup when I didn't know if they were going to or not, so what the hell do I know what Melbourne are going to do at this point? I know they've tried with Van Rooyen and Matt Jefferson. Matt Jefferson we haven't seen at league level yet, but if they come out of the first 2 rounds without a key forward, they would have to have faith in Jefferson to get it done, and we would have to see him in 2025. But Melbourne trading back here doesn't make a lot of sense. Number one, there's not going to be too many clubs that are going to do that. But also, you know, even if the Bulldogs wanted something extra for Bailey Smith and Geelong traded you their first this year and their future first, say, next year in order to get that done, that still doesn't make a lot of sense for Melbourne to do. Geelong aren't exactly going to be awful next year, especially if they get Bailey Smith. So you're effectively trading pick 7 in this draft for about, with the academy bids that are coming in, probably around pick 18 this year, and maybe, if you're lucky, pick 8 next year. Maybe. Probably not, though. Is it worth a risk? Maybe. But I would argue that if you are going to trade a pick back for dual assets, you can't wait the extra 12 months. You need them now. Get them into your system for 12 months. So I don't think Melbourne are going to trade this pick at all. I spoke about this in the What Next for Essendon video, so I'm going to keep this short, sharp, and succinct. Essendon can't trade this pick for any reason. They need to hope that Isaac Keiko is not bid on at this point. Their dream, in my opinion, first round draftee would be Jobe Shanahan. I wouldn't hate them if they went and got a Toby Trevella or someone there, but they cannot get someone that is for the centre bounce, not with Dylan Shields, Sardis and Hobbs and all those kinds of things. But if you are discovering this video and you are an Essendon supporter, check out that What's Next for Essendon video and let me know what you think, because it was a hell of a lot of fun to make and talk about, and you guys have really seemed to like it as well. So go do that. But the short, sharp, sweet of it is Essendon, don't trade the pick. Get a guy before you get Keiko, and you can start not rebuilding, but you can kind of retooling and bring some quality in with 2 first-round assets that you're effectively getting for free, because you were not that great this year, and Keiko is a part of your next generation academy. So 2 picks for the Bombers, and out of the first round they go. Freo's stuff here is going to be a little bit boring, considering pick 9 and pick 10 are both with the Dockers, so they're not going to have either of these two. If Richmond want more than pick 9, pick 10, and they want to move up, well, Freo are going to use them for those assets. I've spoken about already whether they want to make a trade with West Coast, which I did in my Richmond shaping the first round draft video, whether North want to get involved with pick 9, pick 10, and then on-sell that to Richmond for Shea Bolton, who knows. But what I do know is that Freo would be neglecting their duty, in my opinion, to take their 3 first-round picks in this draft. 3 18-year-olds are not the answer. Sorry, they're just not. Whether it's Shea, whether it's Chad Warner, in my opinion, go get Shea this year. Just do it. Don't sit around and wait. Go get Shea this year, sort out the Chad Warner stuff next year, and you could probably get Chad for your first-round pick next year, plus further assets, whatever they are. Worry about it next year. Just worry about it next year. Go get Shea. Simple as that. Call me crazy, but I think there is 0 chance Carlton trade this first round pick, because what are they trading it for? I don't think they're going to be in the Tom Barrass sweepstakes here, so we can kind of cancel that out. There's not too many other key defenders, which is something that I nearly said Richmond then, that Carlton could use this pick for, so I don't know. Just go for it. Go get a small forward. Go get Joe Berry. There you go. And if Jobe Shanahan is somehow still there, go get him instead. Although Brodie Kemp may have screwed with that with his 4 goals against West Coast. So, I don't know. But you're not going to need a midfielder because you've got Ben coming in. Lucas is going to add to your wingman depth. If Toby Trevella is still there, that would be a really good pickup. So, who would have thought? Carlton, pretty boring in terms of this draft conversation. Interesting. The Hawks, pretty simply, don't want this pick. It'll depart for Tom Barrass. Whether more goes with it, I don't know. But something would have to go drastically wrong for the Hawks to have this pick. They do not want to use it at all. What the hell are Hawthorn going to use a pick for it is going to be better to get an asset in. They've clearly identified Barris, and if they get Battle as well, that won't cost anything in a draft sense. So, sorry, Hawks fans, pretty boring one, this one, but pick 12. So we're going back to the Suns here, but this will either get absorbed, like I said, with a Leo Lombard bid. So if it's bid on after their first pick, so that pick 5, then they have to use their next pick. So if it's anywhere between pick 6 and pick 12, this is getting absorbed anyway, so moving on. Brisbane's pick is going to be absorbed in a Levi Ashcroft bid, which is absolutely going to come before this. I also think Brisbane could trade this out for points, because Brisbane don't have a lot of points at the moment, so they are definitely going to do some finagling, and there will be a gluttony of clubs lining up to give them draft points, I suspect, here at this moment in time. So look out for Brisbane to be massive sellers of this pick in order to pay for Ashcroft and Sam Marshall, who's kind of going underrated in this draft class, I think, because he is a Brisbane Lions Academy player. I don't think Geelong are going to use this pick either, because it's probably going to be part of a package that he's going to go to the Western Bulldogs for Bailey Smith. Now, I don't think pick 15 is enough for Bailey. Yes, he was a pick 6 not too long ago, or around that mark anyway, in 2018, but he's still been a good footballer. Just because he's done his knee doesn't mean we forget how good he has been. Is he the perfect footballer? No. No one is. But what he's going to be able to do at Geelong, if I'm the Bulldogs, I would be driving a pretty hard bargain. I'd be wanting this and maybe a future second, maybe, for something back. But again, for someone that's such a tight ass in real life, I am really strict around trades, apparently, so I've been told. So I don't think this gets enough on its own. I don't think this is enough on its own, I should say. But Geelong won't have this pick. I can almost guarantee this is going to be at the Bulldogs. I'm pretty sure. The Giants, this is kind of a case of if someone wants it and overpays for it, give it to them. But at this point in time, I'm going to say keep. Because what's the downside? They're already so good, just best talent available. You know, if in doubt, go with the tall. It's probably not going to be a defender, because you still got Taylor, you still got Buckley, you still got Lecalier down there, or Lecalier, I should say, down there. So unlikely to be that. Could you go a tall forward? Still not that convinced around Riccardi. So what do they do there? Could be really interesting. Could they be in the market for a Jonty Fall, like they took a punt on Phoenix Gothard not too long ago? Potentially. I mean, if they went and got another midfielder and just stashed them away, fine, because I don't think a bid for their Academy Ruckman is going to come at this point. So I think it's just going to be free for them to use. So just a hold on the Giants. They'll probably use it. I've spoken enough about Freo at this point, but let's say 9 and 10 gets it done. Would they also sell this pick? I actually think my answer is no. And Daz, I can hear you say, why? Okay. First of all, let's go down the non-Chad Warner path for a second, right? You are going to wait 2.5 years probably for this kid, whoever they pick, to come through. Right? I don't think Joe Berry, who would be a perfect fit at the Dockers, is still going to be there. And with Shea coming in, you probably don't need an inside forward 50 threat. So you've got your wingers covered. You've still got O'Driscoll who can move up there, Jeremy Sharp, you know, these kind of guys that more included in that. Do you really need a half back? You know, do they want to take a shot on maybe like a Harry O'Farrell and stash him down there? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But best talent available could be it. Could they go a Bo Allen, the homegrown kid, and just stash him away? Kind of like what they did with Matty Johnson a little bit. Maybe more time for Bo. Definitely they could do that. But what if they did want to go long-term with Chad Warner? Well, sell this pick. It's kind of, you know, the Hawthorn Josh Weddle kind of deal here, and get assets for next year and throw them and whatever else you can get at Sydney for Chad Warner. Can you imagine round 1, 2026, a Freo side with Shea Bolton and Chad Warner in it? If you can't win a flag there, you're cooked. So 50-50, I reckon. Best talent available makes sense, but if you think you're in with a chance with Chad Warner, trade it. I don't really see Sydney needing to trade these out. If there's a club, again, circa the Josh Weddle, Hawthorn Sydney transaction, that they can benefit from, I think they would listen to it. But considering they've got back-to-back picks, I think they're going to use their first one and maybe sell their second one, potentially. But I still think the Swans are in a weird kind of space at the moment in which they are a premiership threat who are incomplete, with, of course, their forward line being the talk of the town. Now, considering Logan McDonald has re-signed, Hayden McLean is under contract as well, are they going to ship off a Marty and trust an 18-year-old? highly doubt that. This would be a really cool moment for them to take the Whitlock brothers, Jack, Matt, and just stash them at either ends of the ground. Would be pretty cool to see them develop together. But in terms of, are they definitely going to be traded? I'm probably erring on the side of keep than I am for trade for the Swannies, and that goes for both of them. But I'm more confident in their first one. And you've heard me talk enough about the Suns. They will either match Lombard's bid, trade this for Daniel Rioli with something else, or they'll on-trade it next year for assets to help them with their academy kids. So you don't need to hear me go through all of that and its machinations again. But in terms of your first round picks, in terms of how it stands right now, I reckon there are going to be 11 changes, which is crazy to think about. So 11 to 9. So the machinations of this draft are insane. How that is going to look in terms of my mock draft, which if you are watching this on the Wednesday that I've released it, is going to be this time next week. Am I going to do trades? I think I have to. How they're going to look though? No idea, but if you enjoyed the video and you've watched to this point, thank you. Comment below, let me know what you think. Is your club going to keep, match, trade? What are they going to do with their first round pick, do you think? Comment below, let me know. Like the video if you like the video, to let other people watch it. And I hope you have a fantastic day, evening, work, whatever you've got going on. You fucking superstars. See ya.